know the stuff too, so they know my stuff. I ain't changed. I'm old school.
Okay,
man.
cool.
You could probably come in and run the stuff too.
That would be fun, actually.
You could probably come in and run it too. No problem.
You're running fist still, huh?
Yeah, motion and all of that cruiser. Yeah.
But where did all the players go? Where do you take your players from? Like, since you said you're old school and all that.
You have to talk into the mic now.
Okay. We're on.
Oh, we're on.
We're live.
Oh, we live?
Yeah, we're not live, but we're live. We're running.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice to meet you again.
Yeah, good seeing you too.
Yeah, but okay, so we was just talking. We were still running a little bit before. Yeah. So all the plays we run with weave and...
You know what?
Everything.
Took them with me, and they've been with me my whole coaching career. Make some adjustments, and you know what? Now the game has changed a little bit, so you tweak some things to put a little bit more of the modern play in. Yeah. But I like, I'm an old school guy. I like setting screens and using screens, and then teaching guys that the only screen ain't a ball screen, because now in modern basketball, it's all ball screens. That ain't the only screen.
No. I love the flare screen.
Oh yeah, no question. I mean, it's all of that stuff. But what the other thing, since we playing this modern basketball, guys don't use screens.
No. True.
You know what I mean? Everything, we got a ghost screen now. What's a ghost screen? You know what? A screen is supposed to be nailing somebody. And I talk to kids all the time about what's the difference between an exchange and a screen. Yeah. When you exchange, you just exchange. And when you screen, you got to screen a body. You got to hit a body.
Yeah.
So things like that. So we back to that stuff.
When I grew a little bit, I got a little bit bigger. I actually loved setting screens because it's nothing better than setting a screen when you know that the guy running into you, like, okay, he felt it or whatever. Like,
no question about it. And then you know what? The easiest way to get open is to set a screen.
Yeah, true.
It's to set a screen. It's funny because we're preparing to play against Byram this weekend. Yeah. And Stan Mills is a great basketball player, but the thing that he does is he just screens the heck out of people, and he gets open. Because, again, go back to old school basketball, the easiest way to get open is to set a screen. Yeah. So it was just funny, like, preparing for those guys and looking at them, like, damn, look at him. Here you go. He's setting the back screen. He's setting another down screen. Boom, 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 boom. And he's wide open, because, that is the easiest way to get open, set a screen.
And all the reads, if you're able to just slip a couple of times,
exactly.
And be
sure.
unpredictable, right?
Yeah. You gotta read your defender. You gotta know where he's going, what he's doing. I mean, is he cheating it? So do you curl it? Do you fade it? I mean, it's all of that stuff. But that's old school basketball. I mean, now we've kind of gotten away from that type of basketball now. So now everything is about a ball screen and a dribble handoff. Yeah. You know what? So I mean, and I incorporate that stuff into some of the stuff we do. But I'm old school. Yeah, I'm old school.
But I mean, because like old school basketball compared to modern, especially NBA, like they're shooting so much threes now. It's kind of getting a little bit ridiculous. They're talking about it in the media in the U.S. at least.
Yeah, it's a big thing now because you know what, you like the Celtics right now. They're taking 53s a game.
That's a lot.
I mean, that's a lot of so. And yeah, they're the greatest players in the world. So and they work at the craft of shooting a three. Yep. But I tell my guys now, I want a bucket. You know what? I want to score. You know what? I mean, if it's a mid-range, if it's a layup, if it's a three, you know what? I mean, that's the most important thing. I don't want kids to get caught up in, especially now since I'm doing a lot of stuff with the younger kids too. Yeah. You know what I mean? And they're caught up in watching, the whole YouTube, the NBA stuff. So they think that the three is it. But hey, listen, you got to be able to make a three. Definitely. You know what? I mean, so, it's easy to take a three. Definitely. But I mean, you know what? You got to, So and it's a process again with kids to build them up into becoming shooters like that. Yeah. And most kids walk in the gym and the first thing they want to do is pick up a ball and go and throw it up from a 3-point line. You know what? I say that ain't how it goes. You know what? I mean,
but if you think of it, it's like when Steph Curry and all these. Damian Lillard, those type of players started shooting threes from way behind the line, and they started making them consistently, right? Yeah. I think a lot of kids thought like, oh shit, it's possible for like a Steph Curry. He's 6'1" or whatever, like 193.
But Sam, you know what I tell kids all the time? What you see with Steph and Dame is the finished product. You don't see the work that they put in to get to that point.
Very true.
The millions of shots that they've taken from the short range to the mid range and all that to get to that point. And that's what kids got to understand. You know, when we see the finished product, it's nice. If everybody 100%. Can come in and just come in and be Steph, that's good. Yeah. But the work that they put in to get to that point.
True. But also all the like the content around players now compared to just 5 years ago, like all the YouTube videos, everything's more available, like social media, stuff like that.
Just, I mean, and that's what it is now. Mm-hmm. I mean, and a lot of it is that's what kids are being coached at now.
Yeah.
You know what through those things there. You know what I mean? And so it's helpful if used properly. Yep. You know what I mean? You can use it. I mean, because there's a lot of good stuff on it. I mean, all of us as coaches, we peek at all of that stuff. I mean, you know what? We try to make adjustments to what we want to do, and all of us have a foundation of what we're built on.
Yeah.
And then, okay, you tweak things and you get stuff, and you get some good stuff on that. But kids now, I mean, being that their social media is so big and YouTube and all that, so they just live on that stuff.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
They live on it. So it's, you know what? It's good and bad. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it could be, like I said, it can be useful. You know what, if used properly.
Definitely. Yeah. It's like the internet problem in its whole. It's like it's so much information there. But if you be able to pull the right information, whatever, you're good.
Then you're right. Yeah. If you get the right stuff.
If you get the wrong stuff, you kind of tweak it.
Right. Yeah. And that's the whole thing with it. A lot of kids, you know what? A lot of kids use it and get on it, but they get in the wrong stuff. You know what I mean? They think that is, you know what? Listen, you can't do those things yet. You know, you got to build up a foundation, a skill foundation first before you start to, you know, and that's just the basic dribble, being able to dribble with your head up, you know what I'm saying, catching the basketball, passing the basketball, you know what I mean? And it's nice. You know what, we talk about passing the basketball with two hands. I mean, kids are like, huh? You got to pass the ball with two hands? Yeah, that's how it started. You know what I mean? You know, not throwing to a voice and, you know, because everybody's, hey, pass me the ball. I'm like, and I tell kids all the time, I'm saying, well, how you know that voice from another voice? You know what? So if the defender's screaming at you, hey, you're going to pass to the defender, don't pass to a voice. I mean, but just those small things, I mean, kids they're getting better at it. They're getting better at it. We work hard at it up there in Tromsø with my young kids because right now I'm coaching 16s, 15s, 16s, 17s, and 19s.
Oh, shit, okay.
So
that's a lot
of
teams.
So you know what, we're in the gym. I mean, and that's one of the things about, you know, up there in Tromsø, you know, there's no coaching and no coaches up there, so you kind of get caught into having to do a little bit of everything, you know, and that's fine for me. You know what? I mean, I really enjoy the youth part of it because, you know what, you get more, as a coach, you get more satisfaction. If you see kids, now I can see kids developing over a year or 2 years. Now I see this kid's gotten better. This kid is working hard, you know, so that's that satisfaction. We don't get rich in this profession, that's for sure.
No,
you know what I mean? So the satisfaction of seeing kids, you know what, grow and get better is important. I mean, crucial.
For sure, I understand what you mean when you say that because it's different. But it is different having a player for one season, 2 seasons, max 3 seasons,
right,
compared to seeing and develop from the crucial years from
14 and up. Exactly.
Yeah.
You can have a big impact on a kid's basketball future.
Yep.
You know, at those years, especially if you've given him a foundation and he's understanding the thing, how to work. You know what I'm saying? Everybody says you got to work hard. Yeah, but you got to know how to work hard, and you got to know what to work on. So giving those kids that part of it is important too.
Yeah.
And I'm real happy with my kids up in Tromsø right now. We've got some kids that we're developing and they're having fun, and I got gym rats now.
Fantastic.
You know what I mean? So that's the key. You know what, kids don't, over this Christmas holiday, you know what, I got 20, 25 13 to 15-year-old kids in the gym on Christmas Eve.
Oh, fantastic.
You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So it's kind of, you know what I mean?
So they get the gym town these days, huh?
Well, you know, especially over the holidays, you know what? So now, you know, over the holidays we can get in the gym. You know what I mean? So and if they want to do it, I mean, and that's the big thing. I'm really excited about that. You know what? That, you know, we developing a little bit of a different culture up there for these young basketball players that, you know, want to do it, and then having somebody like me that, you know, and I spend my whole time in the gym. You know what I mean? You know, I mean, between this holiday, between now taking over for Tromsø Storm and helping those guys out, and then my youth teams. You know what? I had 2 days off of this over this break. I had the 24th.
Yeah.
I didn't even have the 24th off. Oh. The day I was in the gym. You know what? And then New Year's Day I wasn't in the gym.
Okay.
So
you stayed in Tromsø the whole the holidays.
Over the holidays. I mean, taking on this, helping out Tromsø Storm now in the situation that we're in.
Yep.
It was going to take some work. It wasn't going to be something that was just going to fly by night. And I had to be there, and I had to buy these guys in that day we had to be in, because we were changing everything.
Yeah.
Basically, we were getting, like I said, having Johannes and Anders and Aaron and Hani around, guys who know me and know my stuff. It was very, very helpful during that time. And everybody's a little bit off from work and free up to be able to do those things.
True. Yeah. That's good. I'm really excited for what's about to happen now, hopefully.
Me too, hopefully.
But I believe it's possible, obviously.
Well, it is possible. I mean, that's the thing.
Course.
It's possible. So, I mean, we've got to, and like I told these guys, like every game for us is a championship game right now.
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, we can't look by anybody. We have to, we can't fear anybody. We got to take every game as a championship game, and that's part of that job is mine, making sure that we're prepared for this whole thing. So, I mean, but it's it's gonna be challenging, but it's gonna be fun, and it'll be nice if we can pull it off.
Yeah, of course. But let's rewind a little bit, because I want to know, like, for those who don't know you, you're the head coach of Tromsø Storm. You've been the coach for how many years now?
Wow, I'm gonna tell my age. I'm gonna tell my age now. I've been a coach, head coach, probably close to 30 years now.
Yeah.
All over. I've coached in Denmark, Portugal, Iceland, and Norway. So that's the whole. Plus the States. I did some stuff in the States, some Division III coaching stuff in the States when I first got into this whole coaching thing. After I played 12 years abroad, 10 years in Portugal. I played a year in the Middle East in Qatar, and I played a year in Venezuela. Okay. And this was after being drafted in '81 by the Nets. I did 2 years in the CBA, trying to get into this NBA thing and realize, let's go to Europe. So let's go internationally.
How is that transition? Because from an American perspective, that's either you be like, sure, that's a nice route. Probably now, it's okay, I can go play professional, right? And it's a nice route. And for some, it's like, now I have to go to Europe. Like, how did you look at it? Like an opportunity or like a...
Well, you know what? I mean, I think for me, I was never the player that, I had a great college career. And when I left college, I was the all-time leading scorer when I graduated from school. So, you know what? This whole pro thing was like, okay, let's see it. You know what? It wasn't something that and then once you get drafted and then the whole thing, going through that whole process of now I really might have a shot to do this whole thing. And then he just decided, you know what? I've always been open to travel, so let's, okay, this stuff in the States not working. I did 2 years in the CBA at that time, the old, what is the G League or D League or whatever it is now. Yeah. And that just was kind of, that was so cutthroat. So going abroad, I mean, for me, and I mean, I've had. My years abroad have been phenomenal, man. I've been all around the world, and doing this whole basketball thing. You know what? And the 10 years I did in Portugal were phenomenal. Yeah. That took me places all into Africa, to Mozambique, Angola, South Africa. Just being in Portugal, playing with some teams there. Yeah. So.
What year did you go to? You went to Portugal first.
No, my first Portugal year. My first year was in Qatar.
Okay, it was Qatar. Okay.
Yeah. I did the Qatar thing.
When are we talking now? But what year?
We're talking 84, 85.
Yeah. How was that in 85, 84?
Crazy.
Okay.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Qatar was a great experience. The good thing about Qatar was that you saved all your money.
Yeah, true.
There was nothing to do there. It was no clubs. There was no alcohol.
No.
It was, well, actually we did. We got a license there in Qatar where you can go by one time per month. You could go to, it was through the British Council, and you can go and you could purchase, and it was 400 reals worth of alcohol, which is about $100 worth of stuff, which ended up being 5 cases of beer, a couple bottles of wine, and that was it. You know what? And that had to last you for a whole month.
Okay.
So it was good. I mean, in the basketball in Qatar at that time, it's grown now where they're doing it, but back at that time, every team had 3 Americans. All the teams were based in Doha at the time. So all the Americans were there. We kind of hung out. We kind of got to know each other, that was kind of cool. And during Ramadan, nobody practiced but the Americans. It was kind of fun. It was an interesting time.
Yeah, I could believe
it. Was,
I believe you.
Yeah, I had an American coach, and it was funny because I had an American coach, and one of the drills a prominent drill in basketball is a 3-man weave, right? Yeah. Everybody does 3-man weave. Some facsimile of 3-man weave. In Qatar during Ramadan, it was me, the other American, and the coach. And we would run 3-man weave for 20, 25 minutes. Here we go. And it became a drill that I hated.
Yeah.
And it's not a drill. I use it now. But,
a couple of times.
But yeah, I use it now. But at that point in time, it was just kind of weave. So,
of course.
And we had the Qatari kids, because it was Ramadan. So the Qatari kids, they would go and pray. Yeah. And they would come and stand and sit in the gym and watch us do 3-man weave all day.
Okay, that's kind of interesting. Okay, but then after that, you went to Portugal.
Yes, then I went to Portugal.
And the way I understood it, that was the spot you.
That was my place.
Yeah, that was the place.
That was my place. It was I picked up the language. My first year I was in a small town, Ovar, which is in between Porto and Aveiro, on the northern part of it. Yeah. And it's a great basketball city. A great basketball town, and even at that time. But at that point in time, nobody spoke any English. No. So I lived with 2 Brazilians.
Okay.
And that was funny. They didn't speak any English. No. So we kind of, we let each other know it was time to eat. They would knock on my door and they go, and it was that mean we're going to a restaurant. Okay, let's go to a restaurant. You know what? Okay. It's funny I say it. If I would have studied in college and university, I had to study this Portuguese stuff, and I'd have been an architect or engineer. Probably wouldn't have been a basketball player. Okay. Because I would have had, going to sleep every night with the book on my face and this whole thing about osmosis, putting it under your pillow, and that don't work. No. You know what I'm saying? And you get it, So then, you just kind of good. And then I moved down south. I moved from Ovar. I moved down south to BLNO-klubben, which at that point in time was the 4th biggest club in Portugal, but behind Benfica Sporting in Porto. Okay. And they had everything. They wanted basketball. Yeah. And so they were in 2nd division my first year I went down. My first year I led the country. I led Portugal in scoring my first year there. Okay. And then I went down, and then we ended up bringing them up from 2nd division to 1st division, and that was kind of cool. And we hung around. I think the best we finished 2nd one year. We finished 4th one year. You know what I mean? It was kind of I had some play with some good import players, and and it was at that point in time there was some pretty decent. Portugal's always been decent, you know what I mean? Because you get the climate and you get the whole thing there. It's a pretty nice place. It's nice. It's a nice place. Yeah. So that was good. That was good. And like I said, then I picked, and then I had the language down, and so and so it was good. And then I went back to coach. I went back to coach at my old club, BLNO-klubben. I went back to I left and I went back, and then I started doing a whole bunch of youth stuff with some places out in that Estrel basketball club. I did a few different things out there with them, coached some under 19, some youth teams, and that kind of sprungboard me into this whole thing where I wanted to be a coach. Yeah, I wanted to do this. So
awesome. Yeah. It's but I heard, because I actually met Terje at Tronstad volleyball. We started talking about when he played, because he played in Portugal as well.
Yes, he played in Portugal too.
And he started talking about some sort of structure that was pretty normal in Portugal. Meaning, if you play 1 year, you play good. They upper your salary for the next year, and keep doing it.
No question.
Keep doing it every year. That's like a standard for all sports.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the thing with Portugal. When I went to Portugal, I didn't have an agent, and actually. Growing up I grew up in Newark, New Jersey, which is one of the biggest Portuguese communities in the USA. And I had a good friend of mine who we played summer. He was coaching our summer league team, and he had big connections in Portugal. That's how that whole thing went. So I used him for my first year, and then after that, I never used an agent again. Okay. So I just went on, and Ty was right, because they do. You know what? They're happy with you. They want you to come back. And BLNO kept wanting me to come back, so they kept increasing the pay, increasing the benefits. So it was pretty cool. Yeah, pretty cool. So
sounds like a dream for any athlete, actually.
No, exactly. It was. It was nice. And at that point in time, like I said, at that point in time, I mean, we did a lot of good things for basketball there. I mean, our club was, like I said, fourth biggest club. And once you start having some success in Portugal, you know, we had people at the games. You know, they come from the soccer, the football game. Yeah. They come right from the football stadium right into the gym. So you got 2,500 people in the gym. You know what? And if you're playing well, it was beautiful. Yeah. It was beautiful.
Cool. And you hung up your jersey in
Portugal.
In Portugal.
Yep. I stopped. Yep. That was my last year. And it was you know what? It became a job. Yeah. That's the funniest thing people say. Huh? It became a job. I was probably making the most money that I've made playing there. Yeah. And it just became a job. It, like getting up to go to practice wasn't fun anymore. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so it became a little bit. It was a lot. I mean, it was a lot harder to stay Friday nights at home. You know what? So it became a job. Yeah. And then you know what? The club had been good to me, and so I just decided, you know what? Listen, I'll help you guys find somebody else, but I'm gonna head back home. And that's what I did. Yeah. So it was. Yeah. And, you know, but then I head home and I kept playing. Yeah. You know what? Because back in the States, they got all of these minor leagues, ABA, all these different leagues, weekend leagues. You go make $150 a game playing on weekends in places like Scranton, Pennsylvania, and stuff like that. It was kind of so we kept doing that. And a lot of the guys that came back home or whatever after, you know, we kept playing and going and do that. I mean, because we still had that in us. You know what I mean? And you go play in the minor league basketball in places like Scranton, Pennsylvania. Was phenomenal. You get 1,500 people at a game. I mean, it was kind of, you were like a little bit of cool. It was real cool. Yeah. You know, you go up for the weekend, you go up on Friday, you play Saturday, hang out, play Sunday, you come back home. You know what? And you know, get $125, $150 a game plus transportation. So it was kind of cool. It was like, you know what? You know, so everybody did it. I mean, and it was good, and it was good basketball. You know what? Because you had the Philly teams, and then you had those teams. You know, some of the ex-NBA guys, Ron Anderson, and those guys were playing on the Philly team. I mean, it was a lot of good basketball, Yeah. So we kept going. So
that's cool. So after retiring from basketball, going into coaching. Because I'm like curious, how was your route before Tromsø? Because I know you've been in Tromsø for, this is actually your third time.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. If you add everything together, Tromsø's been like 13, 14 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you put it all together.
First year, 2007?
6, 7. Yeah.
What brought you to Tromsø that time? You remember? I guess you remember.
Opportunity. Okay. It was a job. It was an off. I was looking. Where was I at? I think I was in Denmark at the time. Okay. And I don't know how somebody turned me on to this situation with Tromsø Storm. So I sent my resume and all of that stuff there, and then Orion and Tom and those guys, you know, interviewed me, brought me in, and that was the start of it. I mean, that was the start of it. So
awesome.
It was, that was there. And at that time, it's funny. At that time, I only stayed in Tromsø. I was at the end of the season. I was gone. So I never did the Midnight Sun. I never did that for the first couple of years. You know what? So it was just kind of, you know, getting out of there. And now I'm there all the time. I didn't go home last summer. I had friends come over to visit me last summer. You know, so it was cool.
Shit. So, okay. So. How was the first? Do you remember the first time landing in Tromsø? What was your first thought when you touched down?
You know what? I did did a little bit of research when I came here and got all the little books that talk about the Paris of the North and all of those things like that. So it was just kind of it was interesting, and I mean the natural stuff with the Northern Lights and all of those things like that. So you kind of get it, but you know what I mean. When we landed, and I had no idea what I was getting myself into, or what but. First day of my first practice, I was in there, you know, being Kenneth Webb, and and it just went on from there. You know what? It just went on from there. So,
and then you returned back to Denmark, right?
Yeah.
And then you came another time, 2000.
Then I came back. I went and did it, and then I went to Iceland.
Yeah, okay.
I went to Iceland, and then those 2 years, well, a year and a half, because that was the year the financial crisis hit in Iceland.
Oh, yeah,
It's my second year over there. I mean, it was the whole economy collapsed.
Yeah,
and it was crazy. So we couldn't. They couldn't afford us. You know what I mean? They couldn't afford the contracts in foreign money, because the Icelandic krona just like wasn't worth the paper it was printed on.
Crazy.
And you know what? And then you know what? Then came back at a little bit more serious situation. I mean, Tromsø they had went through some things, and I think this is when Kurt took over as the president of the club.
Right.
Because Kurt played for me.
Yeah.
And actually, the last time I left, he said, "You'll be back." You know, I'm like, yeah, okay. They didn't really pay no attention. And then they called and I came back. And that started that go round.
So that was actually Kurt.
That was Kurt. Yeah, that was Kurt. He became president at the time of the club. And I think they had lost to Byram.
Yeah,
that Tuesday night game in Tromsø after the. Yeah. So I think it was a few unhappy folks there.
Okay. Sure.
And so he reached out to me, and so we got back in. I mean, and I've always enjoyed Tromsø, and I've always, I mean, working for those guys. I mean, you know, within the limitations of what we could do. You know what? I was always, you know, we did everything kind of in the right way.
Yep.
You know, first class. I mean, the travel. I mean, sometimes we a little mad that we didn't fly down the day before the game, but I mean, stuff like that. But from an economical standpoint, you kind of get it. You know, but pretty much everything I wanted up in Tromsø, they got for me, and you know, so it was. It's always good. So that's one of the reasons why it was kind of easy to come back this time. I mean, but they had to understand too that. I wasn't leaving what I was doing with the youth department.
No.
So that was, you know, because these 3 years I really think we've taken some steps in building up some kids and changing the culture. So, of course, I wanted to help Storm too, you know what, because I do believe that, you know, going down would not benefit basketball in Tromsø nor in northern Norway. And excuse me for saying this, not that we're paid much attention to up in northern Norway from a basketball standpoint anyway, but... so trying to help try to save that, to at least keep that. I mean, because the one thing that we do have in Northern Norway, we do have basketball, we do have Tromsø Storm.
Yep.
And they've been they've been a fabric of Norwegian basketball. So we do have that. So now so let's try to maintain that. I mean, in this situation, and that's where I don't know if that's where I guess I come into play at here, to try to help them save that, you know what I mean? Because we, just being honest, you know, we, you know, with our youth teams, like I got 3 youth teams that travel down south. My 16s, my 17s, and my 19s. We do 5 weekends.
Yeah.
Down here in Oslo, where we play 4 games on a weekend.
Holy shit! Yeah.
And I don't think anybody realizes the cost of that.
That's expensive.
Well, yeah, because honestly, we're talking about close to $250,000 per team.
Yeah.
To do the travel and that whole things like that. You know what I mean? So, you know what? So that's this year we spending 800,000 crowns for our 3 teams to travel down south. And then the other thing about it is that, you know, we get home games down here, so we gotta have people that do the secretariat. We got, you know what I mean?
Okay, so you have to.
When we the home team, yeah. So you throw that cost on a little bit too, because now, you know, we got to pay kids to sit and do the 24-second clock to do that whole thing. You know what? So it's what we got to do, and we don't bitch and moan about it, because it was what we got to do for our kids to give them that. But it is, you know what? It becomes a little bit. You know, it's tough. And then, you know, playing 4 games and, you know, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, you know what, it's just tough. But, you know what, we just realized that this is what we got to do if we want to get our kids some competition. So this is what we got to do. So we just shut up and just go with it. But it's still some, you know, I mean, it's still it's still very interesting too.
Definitely. You were here when BLNO was actually.
I wasn't here the first start of
it. Not the start, but like 2007. I mean, it was still.
Yeah, it was coming, and it was coming. Yeah. So yeah.
I mean, it was some TV games at that time too.
Yep.
you've seen how good the league could be, like from a whatever market standpoint, like people in the gym, people talking about it more than now probably. You've seen that at least a little bit of it, and now you see not like this the last couple of years.
Yeah.
What do you think is the one key thing that should be changed in order to get growth again? I know that's a hard question to answer on the spot, and there's probably a lot of things that need to change.
Sure. I mean, for sure, definitely. But I mean, you know what? I think that there's got to be put a little bit more emphasis on. I mean, right now it's all club related. Everybody's thinking about their club, but somebody's got to think about the game, the growth of basketball. You know what? And what do we need to do there? Not what Tromsø Storm need to do, not what Aliens need to do, but we need a plan that that entails the whole thing. And I mean, from a marketing standpoint, Norway, one of the wealthiest countries in the world. You know what? Basketball, one of the biggest sports in the world. Why aren't we marketed better here in Norway? You know what I mean? So, I mean, and I know there's challenges from federation standpoint. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm just a guy, I'm just a basketball person just throwing out stuff. But you know what I mean? It's good. I mean, for example, like I go back to my first years in Tromsø. Where we did a super duper job of marketing the game, but now we getting 1,200 people, 1,300 people in the gym all the time. You know what I mean? And we were successful, but it was the whole thing. It was the whole thing around the game too. You know what? Doing the school visits, just putting the game out there. You know what? Making sure our imports were out there. Everybody knew them. You know what I mean? Like I said, the school visits, the mall, the Yekta stuff that we used to do. You know, bringing baskets out in the Yekta, having kids shooting, getting free prizes and things like that. But the marketing of the game, you know what? Because it's a beautiful game. You know what? So so the marketing part of it, I mean, I think would help if we did a little bit better job of that. But that's not it. I mean, it's a lot of things.
Of course, it's super complex question.
Yeah, it is. But you know what? I mean, we got to do marketing the game. I mean, and just thinking about the growth of the game. How are we having a plan?
Yep.
Having a plan. You know what? Where do we want this to go? You know what? And now, not only where we want it to go, how are we going to get there? You know what I'm saying? And it's going to take a whole bunch of people and a whole lot of thoughts and a whole lot of, going out and finding out why did it work in Denmark? Why did it work in Sweden? Why isn't it working in Finland? You know what I mean? Just small things like that, not just kind of being closed to ourselves there, just going out to where those places have had success in the game. You know what? I mean, in Denmark right now, for example, Denmark, you got 2 live games a week on TV.
That's good.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what? And I remember my last years in Denmark. I mean, when they first started this TV thing, the clubs had to pay for the production.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, they had to pay for the production if you wanted a game. You know what I'm saying? But now it's to the point where the TV people are playing the clubs for producing the game. So, I mean.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah.
Very.
And it's, I guess the only huge difference is that population-wise we're smaller. So it's less people in the basketball chunk.
Right, exactly.
But at the same time, the chunk is bigger in Sweden than it is in Norway.
No question.
Yeah.
No
Even
question.
though they still ski in
Sweden. They still. I mean, everybody.
Football,
they do. I mean, they doing all of that stuff.
So,
you know what I mean? It's a. I think we got to find our niche here in Norway. You know what I mean, and I think it's good. Now you got feeling in. I'm saying that wrong. Sorry, but we're gonna kick y'all butts anyway. But that's another story. No, just joking. They're doing this European thing, and I think stuff like that. That exposure too, it helps out. I remember Kongsberg did it. A few years ago. Back in the day, they went and they tried it, and it was always a goal for me in Tromsø. I mean, Orion's probably tired of hearing me talk about this damn European stuff. You know what I'm saying? And find out information. You know what I mean? So I think that again, it helps. I think I think with the national team now. having some good results. So it's changing the reputation, you know what?
Definitely.
And then you got Harold and you got Chris and those guys playing high-level basketball now, which is starting to do it, and they're doing a good job with this national team thing. So that's helping uplift the game a little bit more too. So that, I mean, and that was important. You needed that. You needed that to again to trigger this whole basketball thing. So we're having that. So that's good.
It's interesting to see handball in Norway and hockey. They have the complete opposite problems. Like handball-wise, people are following the national team, and everyone knows about the national team and the players, whatever. But people don't follow a damn minute of the league. But in hockey, it's complete opposite. People watch the hockey league, but they don't watch the national team, right? Wow. And I'm curious to find out or see which of those two are basketball going to fit.
Right, which one? Yeah.
And I mean, if the national team start performing better, get the younger players become better, evolve everything, and at least and also like Harald and Chris, like you said, playing in good leagues. I believe that would definitely help if the team performs better over time.
No question.
And then we are looking into maybe a handball situation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But that's not a bad thing because it's a huge sport, right?
No, definitely.
And people I have to correct myself. People watch the league, of course, but not like it's hard to compare to football and hockey. It's like it's different.
It is, and you know what, and I think as we're up and coming, and until, I mean, at a certain point, I think with basketball, we're going to have to get out of the streaming part of this thing. Right now, that's where our niche is, and so we got to do that, where we start to get the TV cameras in the gym. You know what I'm saying? So when we start to take it, you know what I mean, and that's good because like the national team stuff, they got that stuff is going, and it's been better. It's been better these last few years than it was the earlier years with the whole thing. So once we can get that at a league level, you know what I mean? I mean, then we'll start to take some steps, you know. But I'm starting to see, you know, and I see kids up in Tromsø now with Harold Frey jerseys on. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's kind of some stuff like, okay, it's kind of, you know what I mean? It's kind of going a little bit. So
I agree. It is. It's a start for sure.
Yeah, and we got to start somewhere. You know what I mean? But you know, I think it all comes back. I think it all comes back to just having that plan. And having a plan and then setting some goals and things like that, where you want to go, where we want this game to be. And it's not, and I think we get caught up in, I think some of the times they get caught up in numbers. Oh, we got 20,000 kids playing basketball, 2,000 more. I mean, that's good stuff, no question about it.
Of course,
but
it doesn't matter, right? If it's nothing to watch or to come to look forward to.
And we don't have any, you know what I mean? And that's the other thing, you know what I mean? Now with the national team, you get more, you know what I mean? Because we don't have, you know, one of my big things in Tromsø now is pushing my youth players to watch basketball, to go to basketball games. You know what I mean? You have to get these kids to get out and watch basketball, because what we don't get here, we don't get a lot of basketball.
No, true.
You know what I mean?
True.
You know, we can go to NBA and all this other stuff, you know, at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, kids ain't want, you know what I mean? But just having basketball events, you know what I mean? It's not, you know, outside of the national team and some of the BLNO stuff, there's no real, you know, basketball events going on, you know. I see they try to do something with this 3-on-3 thing, over the break, which was a great idea, I think, but it was just the timing of it is wrong. You know, you can't play 3-on-3 when you got guys in season. No. Sorry, you know what I mean? True. I mean, that's just my, you know what, I guess it was a good, I think it was a good event, and the idea is great, you know what? But listen, I don't want my guys to go playing 3-on-3 now when we got 18 games left to go in the season. No, so a little bit of the timing thing there, but I get it, you know, and that is an event though. So trying to build this whole thing. So things like that's going to help build the sport here, to get people to, you know, want to go out and watch basketball. I mean, let's why, you know what, you know, my goal is, what are you doing tonight? Go watch a basketball game. Let's go, you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, so we're going to try to, you know, we've been down up in Tromsø a little bit too, attendance-wise too, you know what? But I mean, we're still better than most.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
You know, what's still better than most, but you know what I mean? We making a big push to get, especially now when we're in the situation we're in, to get that crowd there in the 6-man so they get the gym back to 800-900 people, you know, just coming in there, you know, doing that whole thing again. So we're trying.
I believe it's definitely possible, but in order for that to happen, there has to be, like I said, strategic plan.
No question.
And I just, it's so easy to stay on the outside and just look in and say whatever have to be, because it has to be done too, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm missing is a blueprint from federation or from the BLNO, from whoever, the guys running the league, whatever. This is how every club should run it, and provide the information, or like provide some sort of a blueprint for the clubs to use in order to run the club properly, so we can push in the same direction
exactly.
together.
Yeah.
Not only FØLG or not only
exactly
Kongsberg
right.
or not only Tronstad or not only Gimle.
Exactly.
And the thing is, all the clubs are good at different stuff, right? At least most of the clubs, at least. I mean, see the youth development in Gimle has been great a couple of years, right?
No question, right. Yeah.
Probably, arguably one of the best in the country. Tromsø as well, right?
Yeah.
So, but then maybe FØLG is lacking that, right?
Right. Exactly.
But FØLG is way better at
the elite level.
The
stuff.
elite level of recruiting players, from marketing to even like social media stuff.
Exactly.
And Kongsberg is good at marketing too, and get the community together better than probably than anyone else, right? So it's like all the clubs know so much stuff, but are they ever coming together? And someone has to.
It's called sharing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the whole thing. You know what I mean? We got to become better at, you know what, at that whole sharing thing, like being able to reach out to a club and find out what's working for them, all right, and seeing how we can implement it to work for us.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So that's the whole thing. But that goes back to your blueprint talk. That goes back to you having a strategic plan. That goes back to that whole thing. And that goes back, you know, even, you know what I mean, even sometimes, I mean, I think one of the, like, one, you know, well, I'm all the way up north now, so I mean, it's a little bit different, but like even just going to the coaching thing, you know, I think sometimes we all get caught up into this whole thing where, listen, in the summers in the States, you know, working these camps and things like that, where you sit down with coaches. I mean, we could be having beers. They start moving salt and pepper shakers around. This is what I'm doing. And then you can question, we don't, you know, that's not here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, everybody's tight. And we all have our philosophy of how we want to play. But it's also good to, you know, to hear some other stuff and hear how the people, you know, that sharing thing or that talking about the basketball thing. You know what I mean? We don't get that from a coach. We have the little coaching meetings and all of that stuff. They bring in coaches to try to tell us, you know, what the, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's fair and that's okay. And for young coaches, I think that works. But I think, you know, because I think you got, you know, for me, I think you got some really talented, you know, coaches in this league who enjoy the game, who like the game. And you know what, when I get in the gym like before games and talk to these guys, you know what, I mean, it's a lot of good stuff going on. I mean, and we all have different issues, we all have different, you know, situations, you know what I mean? But just sharing that whole stuff like that. So I think, you know what, it would be, you know, it would be nicer. It would be nice if we had that a little bit more, you know what I mean? I mean, and just over the whole realm where the directors get together and they can talk about their problems and their issues, the youth coaches and their issues and how to get things going. I mean, so that's the whole, there goes that, we talk about a blueprint. There we go back there. I mean, and I know there's other, I mean, I'm not involved in the federation stuff, so I don't know the issues that they go through.
No, me neither.
You know what? So we don't know. But I mean, like you said, from the outside looking in, you know what? I see it. You know, what? It's been funny. You know, since I haven't been coaching, this is going to be interesting today when my first game back. You know what? At that level, because now I'm in the gym and I see all the referees and I'm like, hey, coach, how you doing? We miss you. Blah blah blah. You know, all that stuff. Now I'm going to see how it's going to work today when I'm back over there, like on their butts a little bit. You know what? But then I mean that thing. You know, and then I hear that. You know. They have it. They're having some issues with, you know, referees getting the number of referees, because actually I see Torkill is back refereeing some games I'm watching film.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's a whole thing. You know, I know we were we just had the under-19 NM qualifiers in Bergen in November. I guess it was in November. And they had a lot of young referees out there that they were watching and trying to get to build up the number to get more referees to get, to come into the game. So it's a whole thing where, like I said before, we got to look at this thing from the where we want to go standpoint, and how we going to get there. And then go out and work for it. I mean, because it ain't gonna happen if we don't work for it. I mean, we can wish and hope, and
of course,
you know what I'm saying. But you got to get out. You got to get out, and it's gonna be leg work. It's gonna be a dirty job if we want to build it up. But I mean, that's what it's gonna take. Yeah. That's what it's gonna take.
And if you're scared, you go buy.
If you go buy a dog. Exactly right. You remember that.
If you're scared, go buy a dog. Excuse me, but go buy a fucking dog. A dog that bites.
Yeah, big dog. Not one of them little poodles that's running around here. People walking in the streets with their chains on. No, that's right. If you're scared, go buy a dog. You know what I mean? Exactly. I mean, one of my expressions that you remember. You know, and I said that the other day in practice, and some of them hadn't heard it. Dog. Yeah, exactly. You know, so yeah. So.
But I mean, it's definitely possible. But it's a lot of work. But you have to. I believe if you pull together as a league or as a basketball country, whatever you want to call it, if you pull together in the right direction and learn from each other.
It can happen.
Definitely. But you have to do it in order for it to happen.
No question. Oh, there's no question about that.
It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a fairy tale. That's for sure.
No, exactly. And it's not going to be one of those things you go to sleep at night and it's going to happen. You know, you put the book underneath your pillow, the osmosis thing, and then you wake up and you got it all. Nah, it's going to take some work to get it. It's going to take some work to get it done. And I think we got, what Norway has got, some advantages that, for example, at the elite level for import players, for example. Like, I think Norway is a nice stepping stone country for import players. You know what? I mean, you're not going to get rich playing basketball here, but you can come here, and culturally it's a great country. The standard of living is high. You know what? You should hear some of the horror stories I'm hearing about guys in these different places making a little bit more money. The refrigerator don't work, the stove don't work. So the standard of living here, there's not the language barrier. You know what? Like some of these French teams, I know some guys that go in these small French cities and they can't. Nobody speaks English. You know what? So Norway has got some advantages too. You know what? For a quality import player to come over, get some good film. The basketball is pretty good, and everybody's got to realize that. You know what? There have been players that have left Norway and went into some great situations. Yep. You know what? Yep. I mean, some great situations. You know what? I mean, so this whole thing, but I think that's helping now with the success of the national team and the reputation. Reputation is kind of. Is changing a little bit, you know what? So it is easy. I mean, we were looking at we needed to reinforce our team after I took over. We need another player, another import, and we can only bring in a European kid. And you know what? We were looking at different guys in Denmark and Finland and the one Danish kid who was a pretty solid player. Played some with my sons. You know what? He just had this whole negative thing about Norwegian basketball.
Oh, shit.
It was kind of crazy. But me, I'm listen, dude. You sitting home. You got sent home from Spain. You sitting home trying to be a pro, and now you got an opportunity that you don't want to take. Okay, I don't want you anyway. You know what I'm saying? Because I need a guy that's a little bit hungry, that wants to come in. You know what I mean? But that just goes back to the reputation. You know what? The basketball reputation, like some of the Danes see Norway. And so I mean, it's just tough. But I think it's a good spot for guys to get their feet wet. And help us, quality players to help build the game here a little bit.
Top 5 players you brought to Norway.
Top 5 players I brought to Norway.
Yeah, imports.
Number 1, Eric Bell.
Eric Bell, yeah.
Hands down. Eric Bell played here 2 years. Eric Bell was MVP in Norway for 2 years, and the first year he was MVP, we didn't make the playoffs.
Okay, shit.
So that was pretty special. Eric Bell.
I remember Eric Bell. I was.
You guys were young. I mean, he was
8 years old probably. But I remember though.
But he was a phenomenal player. He was like one of the only players that I coached who had his own defensive rules.
Okay.
You know what?
Okay.
I'm straight. You know what? I'm straight. Ball you man, seeing man and ball. You
Principles,
know what I'm saying? Yeah,
yeah.
I'm straight principles. Don't if you know what? If you know what, you don't gamble. You know what I mean? Those whole things like that. But with Eric Bell, instinctively he was such a great player that I just had to let it go.
That's cool. That's cool.
I had to let it go. So Eric was probably my number one. Then Jonathan Jones.
Yeah. Jonathan Jones
Jumped
the hell out of the gym.
Jonathan Jones ended up he
Great athlete.
incredible athlete, Division III kid.
Yeah.
You know what? But just a super. He ended up having a pretty good career. He went to Argentina, played in Luxembourg, played in Finland after that. He's actually a college coach right now.
I know.
He actually So JJ was a good one.
He's so crafty and so and jumped so well.
Yeah. I mean, he was just you know what, and he you know what, his motor. His motor was out. He played at a high. You know what I mean, the whole time.
He was fun to watch.
Yeah, JJ was fun to watch. Wow. Then we go back to I had Jeff Ogba.
Yeah.
Big Jeff was just a rebounder machine. He ended up having a very, very good professional career after he left Tromsø.
Yeah. There's one that I'm sure you have to mention. Our guy Keon Lawrence.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Greatest player I played with, at least. 100%. I get goosebumps when I talk about it.
Keon should have been an NBA guy.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
Just some. Oh wow, I'm glad. I was. Yeah, I mean, without a doubt. I mean, just.
Oh wow, yeah.
he was just special.
100%.
Keon was special. I mean, he was. And Keon was a personality too.
110%. Every day of the week. Oh my God.
Keon was a personality that, rest in peace, K.
Yeah.
He was, I mean, actually I put him, he goes behind Eric and Keon comes right there. They're my 1-2 guys, you know what I'm saying? And you can put them in any order you want.
Yeah.
But Keon was special.
Definitely. Special. How did you pick up on him?
Keon's from Newark.
Yeah.
From Jersey. You know what? So it was just, I had played, this was like my tail end of my playing career down in the Jersey Shore Summer League. He was like a high school kid, you know what? But I mean, he was like, he played in the Jordan Classic. He played in the McDonald's All-American game, and he was like really the next coming of somebody out of Newark.
Yeah.
And he went to Missouri. And he stayed there. Then he ended up transferring to Seton Hall, which and when we spoke about this year, I told him that was a terrible decision for him to leave Missouri to come back. Because if he'd have stayed in Missouri, he'd have been in the NBA.
Yeah, okay.
He came back home, and you know what? And anybody who knows Keon is a social butterfly.
100%.
You know what? And so when we were looking, people, and I seen him playing in all the summer leagues and back at home and all of that. And it was just like, yo, man, come on, man, let me get you out of this, you know what? And we talked, and he came over, and then, the rest was history. You know what? And we developed a great relationship, and so he was, like I said, he was such a social kid. Like after his first year, the year he won the MVP, he went back home, and like Keon is he's a legend in Newark.
Okay.
So Keon is, he's like one of those guys. And after the MVP, we wanted Keon to come back the next year.
Yeah.
So we made Keon a very significant pay increase.
Yeah.
And the voices back home had him believing he was worth more than that.
Okay. Yeah.
So this Park buddies and Key, you was MVP. Key, you was da-da-da-da. They got to give you more. And then he kept coming, and we couldn't. And that was the one thing about Tromsø Storm, and that's the one thing I do appreciate about it. And I deal with Orion and all Orion Hansen and all of this stuff, is that we stayed within what we could afford.
Yep.
Listen, coach, this is it. This is it. That was it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He wasn't, and he was great at that. You know what I'm saying? Orion was incredible at that. Nope, this is it. Okay. And Keon didn't get that. You know what? And so he ended up turning us down, and we ended up bringing him back.
Right, after Christmas.
After Christmas, right, exactly. You know what? I mean, we ended up bringing him back after Christmas, and and let me see, my fifth guy. I got a bunch of fifth guys, but I think one of the guys that played for me recently, that when I was down in Asker, that was. We're very good friends now, and he's still playing right now, who I enjoyed, was Eric Gilchrist.
Gilchrist, yeah. He's good. He's good.
Eric Gilchrist.
Yeah.
He was, you know what, and in those Asker teams we had Joshua Hart. I mean, in that next year we had Axel Bolin.
Yeah.
And Stian and Anders. That year, the first COVID year, when the first year I took over Asker, we went, it was the year before they almost went down. So redeveloping this whole thing, after Christmas, we ended up, I think we won 7 out of 9 games to get the 8th spot to get into the playoffs that year. And then we grew Kongsberg in the first round. Yeah. And we played them in Kongsberg the first time down there. We lost by 2, but we had a shot at the buzzer to win it.
Shit.
They came up to Asker, and next week we beat them by 16.
You're right. Yeah.
So we're going for the third game, right? And we just really got their number, and that was canceled. Yeah. I never forget that. It was canceled. And
COVID, that was crazy.
Yeah, that was a COVID year. And Eric was my guy on that team. He really... You know what? He hasn't done it. I mean, he ended up being second in this league in scoring that year. I mean, he was just doing a lot of things. But I just liked his leadership, and he was the second guy who, outside of Eric Bell, who had that own rules defense.
Yeah. Okay.
Because he instinctively was the same way. And gets the passing lanes, and you couldn't take it away from him because that was instinct. You know, but I mean, then you got Gary Wallace. I had Gary Wallace. Gary was a great player for me.
He was.
Gary was a good player for me.
Good guy. He coached us a little bit when he was
right. Exactly.
14.
Gary, great guy. He's a high school coach in the States now.
Okay, cool. Cool.
No, Gary is that. You know what? I think we did good. I mean, you go back early. My early years with Alan Watson, and I had Mike St. John's. I've always had. We've always had guys that were. We were lucky. I mean, that we've really brought in, good guys, and not only good players, but good guys too. Yeah. You know what I mean? Guys that, we didn't have any issues out of. I mean, Keon was a little bit of a social butterfly, but I mean,
I have thought about that a lot actually in the recent years, like the type of guy he was, how much that marketed our club, like Tromsø.
Without a doubt.
You saw people were in the gym, like the people were watching our games.
No question.
I'm sure, like damn near 30% of all the guys in the gym, probably more.
Exactly.
Was because of him.
No question about it.
He knew everyone.
He knew everybody.
He knew everybody.
He knew everybody.
It's crazy.
One of my great Keon stories is that this is the time we were playing on Sundays. Now they moved. Now we play some Saturdays, but now we're playing strictly on Sundays. We get to the gym Sunday before a game. I can't remember who we were playing against, and everybody in the gym, and you hear the story. Keon was in the kebab shop across from Grinder at 3:30 in the morning.
Oof.
Yeah. I go, Kay, what you can't. He said, Coach, I was hungry. That's what he told me. He said, Coach, I was hungry. I'm like, Keon, it's 3:30 in the morning. Coach, I was hungry. You know what I'm saying? funny thing after that night, he scored 35 and 15 and some crazy things like that. And that was that was the things that he could do. You know what I mean? He was crazy. He was special. And like you said, he was such a social butterfly that people attracted to him. Mm-hmm. Like Keon was one of the guys. You know what? Keon took me to places in Tromsø, and I didn't have to pay for meals because I'm with Keon. And I'm like, what the hell? I thought this was my city. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, Keon over here. And get Coach a beer. You know what I'm saying? I go to Petnock. I'm like, wow. You know what? So he was huge in that aspect too. 100%. And like you said, probably a third of the people, you know what? And probably, funny, say it now, probably a third of the people was the ones hanging out with him at 3 o'clock in the morning the night before the game. You know what I'm saying? They coming in to watch and play. So it was kind of,
he was special. And also from a basketball perspective, obviously, it was I remember first time playing against him. I mean, I was young. I was not even right. I wasn't good like that at all, of course. But and he the way he was moving, it was like floating around.
Yeah, exactly.
Super, it was a light dude, not the heavy one.
Right, exactly.
Quick as hell.
Yeah.
I remember like his first step, whatever. Like, the way he accelerated was like just long ass
that was
steps and fast. It was kind of like he's like floating around.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way to describe it.
And elevation, he was jumping like crazy as well.
He was. When I remember when we brought him back I think this is the second or third time, and this was still the Norwegian version of the playoffs, the Final Four.
Yep.
Which was that's a story. That's a whole podcast in itself. The Final Four thing for deciding who wins the championship. But that year we finished in 5th, and we had to go to Bergen to play Frøya.
Yeah.
To get one of those spots. So we go to Bergen and we beat Frøya. Actually, Galen played well. Aslak played well that game. We had a real big game from America. Keon is just, so now we're in the Final Four. So we're the 4. Yeah. Ammerud won it that year.
Yeah.
Ammerud won it that year. So we play Ammerud, and this is in the old Rickenhall. Yeah. And freaking, Ammerud 1 seed. They had Ron, they had Ermuki, they had the whole thing. Yeah. And freaking Keon it was just incredible. I think he ended with 36 that night. We the 4. We beat Ammerud easily by 20 points that game, close to 20 points. Damn. to get to the finals, and we played Centrum in the finals. The Centrum was just too big for us, so we couldn't do anything. But it was just crazy. I mean, it was just like that semifinal game. He was just like, I mean, and they, and Ammerud had guys. They had Thomas Wagner. They had Eric Gilchrist was on that team at that time. They had defenders.
Ron Timmis.
Ron, Ron. I never coached Ron.
No, I know.
You never coached, but they was down there. Kelvin Woods was there. Kelvin Woods was the head coach of those guys, and and I mean, I'm sure they expected to beat us without a doubt. But Keon it was one of those nights, man. Yeah. When he was special like that, like could nobody in the gym guard him? No. Nobody in the gym. Out of the 4 teams in the gym at that time, could nobody. That night, they had nobody to guard him.
I remember, I guess it was the year after this, you played Bærum. No, was it? No, it was actually, was it a Centrum game? Because I remember if Dolven, if he played for, he played for Bærum at that time.
Right,
before he went to college.
Right, exactly.
That was the year after. Maybe.
That was yeah.
And they called a goaltender on a crazy block from Keon.
Exactly,
I remember that.
Yeah.
But that was like a play, like everyone knows the LeBron James chase down.
Right, exactly.
It was just like that because you didn't see it coming, and then all of a sudden Keon was there, and all of a sudden Keon was way above him and smacking the ball.
No, he had that. He had that ability. Like I said, Keon was an NBA kid.
Yeah.
Keon, Keon was. There's no question about it. I mean, that
was.
But
what makes a player like him not going to the NBA then? What's the? Because I mean, I know it's a.
You know what I mean. You know what the social part of it killed him. Yeah. And he had some issues when he went to Seton Hall. that, you know what, I mean, and he played. And that whole Seton Hall team that he was on was just they had a lot of guys with a lot of issues.
I see.
You know, so he kind of caught, and I thought him coming back home, being the guy who he was in the city of Newark, wasn't good for him because he had so many people and then bad decisions and
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And then it just kind of faded out on him. If he would have stayed out of Missouri, it was no question about it. He would have been an NBA guy.
Okay.
No question about it.
That's
he had a good coach, Ron Anderson, too, was out there at that time. And, yeah, you know, but he decided he wanted to come back home, you know, which was, bad decision. And we spoke about this. And you know what, he even realized it, you know, later on in life, you know what, that he shouldn't have, you know, but like he.
Always easy to look back and say, well,
no
you should
question.
have different
Exactly
than doing it in the moment,
exactly
of course.
correct. Exactly correct.
To everything,
yeah. So, I mean, but, yeah. Rest in peace, young man.
Yeah,
Rest in peace.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
He's probably the coolest player I ever played with. Feel so grateful for being on the floor, same floor as a player of that caliber.
Yeah.
It's amazing actually.
No.
Shout out and R.I.P.
Yeah.
So
Without a doubt.
Before we wrap this up, I have to ask you a fun question. But how much Norwegian do you actually understand? Because
listen. I'm not gonna spill the beans on that right now because now you know what I play. You know, I've worked in the school system here where all the meetings have been in Norwegian.
Yeah.
You know what? I do okay when I need to do okay. I read it better than I speak it at all. Okay. Because when I was in Denmark, when I moved to Denmark, I studied Danish, and Danish and Norwegian kind of read similar.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I got that. But no, I can't spill the beans on that because people talk about me all the time and they don't think I understand. I got you. And then I say something back to them. Okay.
But how much are you able to speak? Because nå har vi gjort hele podcasten på engelsk til de som hører på.
Well, no, I would. You know what? I don't speak. I would understand what you're saying, and I would respond in English all the time.
Okay,
I would do that. You know what? I get it. I get my moments when I kind of tune in. You know, and I've been in a couple BLNO meetings for the club and all that stuff where it's all, and I just kind of tune my stuff in. That's all right. I'm good. You know what? I get what I need to get out of it.
I see.
Yeah. So.
Okay, fun. Because I mean, I knew that you knew, of course.
Yeah. I can get.
You've been living for so long and everything.
Yeah. I cuss more in Danish than I do in Norwegian. So,
okay.
I mean, when I'm.
I remember this. For helvete! That's kind of fun. No, but that's cool. I'm gonna watch your game tonight.
Okay, cool.
Good luck with
that. Well, thank you, man. Really appreciate you having me in, man. It's been, you know what,
But this is fun. I told you that you come to my podcast, even though we were drinking some beers, and most of the time, when people do stuff like that, it's like, whatever.
Right.
It's just some bullshit.
No, you got me. You know what? When I saw your dad, I said, well, tell him I said hello, doing good. And I look at the congrats with the podcast. I see he's doing good. And I hear him talking basketball stuff. He talks about the coach, and he never says who the coach was. You know what I'm saying? He talks about the coach, and he never said who the coach was. I said, your dad just laughed. He said, well, he doesn't say who the dad is either. I said, yeah, I get you. I said, I get you. But I remember you well, man, and I remember you taking your journey, and going to North Park, man. I remember that. I remember helping you through that whole thing and kind of giving you that. That was actually pretty cool for you. And then awesome. the next thing I hear now, you was a big TV star. That's what you know. And Coach Kenneth, you know, he's a fireman. Okay, my bad. You know what? So then he kind of branched off. I said, okay, that's good for him. That's good for you. No, but I do remember your journey, and you really, I mean, you were one of those kids that really wanted to do that. That was, you set yourself, this is what I want to do. I want to go to the States and get this college basketball thing a shot. Mm-hmm. And I really respected you for that and appreciate the effort that you put in to make it happen. And it was good that you got to experience that.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Thank you for saying that. I mean, that was it was an amazing experience. It was like it's funny when you set a goal and you're able to
No question
like accomplish that.
Reach it. No question.
And it applies to everything in life. It's crazy.
No question, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Oh, it definitely.
Yeah.
It definitely does.
And it's like you never know what's going to happen anyway. So you can just aim for something. And
Exactly. And that's the goal now. We're aiming for saving this season for Storm.
Yep.
And getting out of this 10th position, which we're in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the goal.
Fantastic.
That's the goal.
I'm excited for you.
Appreciate it.
Just
Appreciate
gonna be nice to follow you guys.
No,
so.
it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be challenging, and it's gonna be you know what? I mean, for me, it's kind of you know what? I tell everybody, listen, I don't wear a cape. I don't have a Superman cape. You know what? But I do what I do. I can.
Some people believe that, though.
Yeah, I guess that. But please don't. I mean, you know what? I'll work my butt off. I'll work hard. I'm not going to be outworked by anybody. I've never been outworked by anybody as a player or as a coach. And I'm going to be prepared. And I'm going to take what I got. And I think guys like playing for me. You know what? I'm a hard love guy. You know what? But I give everybody their space and their respect, and I let them know. You know what? And I tell you guys all the time. I say, as a coach, I've never had a player lose a basketball game.
No.
I've never had a player lose a game.
You're right. You said
I lose. You win, and I never win a game. You know what? I never win, and you never lose. You win all the games. I lose all the games, because me losing the games means that there was something that I didn't get accomplished in my preparation to have us to be successful. Now, sometimes, you know, so whether it's more shots or whether it's less shots or whether, you know, whatever, but that's my approach to it. And so I think that gives guys a little bit, you know what, but now in that same token, now listen, we're going to do it how I want it done too. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to give you the freedom, because having been a player or having been a player with a lot of responsibility, you know, even my years in Europe, you know, and I woke up a couple times and read the paper in Portugal where, like, I had 40 points and 10 assists, and they say I sucked. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what, oh, Kenneth was I'm like, damn, I have 40 and 10. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's, you know what, so I've been through that thing as a player. You know what I'm saying? I've been through the thing as a player where I've had to carry, where I've had the responsibility, where so I know what that takes. And so, I mean, I can kind of push that off on my players a little bit too, and I can understand, so I don't nitpick, you know. And I know you didn't turn the ball over because, you know what I mean, I know that shot you took, that shot you was going to make it, you know what I mean. And so, and I think that's fun for kids, you know, fun for guys to play, to know, you know what I mean. Of course, I'm going to be critical when I need to be critical. Of course, you know what I'm saying. But that's part of my job, you know what I mean. But when, you know what, it's not going to be, I'm not beating you in the head with, you know what I mean? Because if we prepare right and you do right, and I understand you as a basketball player, your strengths and your weaknesses, I'm going to try to put you into situations where you're going to be able to use your strengths. Mm-hmm. You know what? And so doing that, I mean, I think guys like that. So hopefully this will pick back up again now, and I'll take this group where I got guys that I know, guys that have been there for me, that have been played with for me, and then some new guys that, you know what I mean. And I think one of the things that's going to show, because one of the things that just from the outside, when I went to watch Storm games, mm-hmm. I saw was something missing. You know what? With the import guys, you know what? Now they could play. I have no doubt about their ability to play, but it was just something not, you know, wasn't clicking. And then I started doing some Tuesday, Thursday workouts with those guys. Yeah. You know what? Just some skill stuff, and, you know, coming in working on some things and stuff like that. I'm like, damn, these dudes can play a little bit. Yeah. You know, they're a little bit better than what they see. And then now that we've put some of my stuff in, taken out all of that other stuff, put my stuff in, and now they understand it a little bit more. I mean, like, yeah, you can see that these guys are a little bit better than what they've been perceived. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And
Good.
that's nice.
Yeah,
you know
it is.
what I mean? And that's very nice. So you're gonna kind of get a different look at our imports now. And then the Swedish kid coming in is gonna be very helpful.
Yeah.
And you know what? And just like I said, I've only had 10 practices with them, but it's been kind of okay. We could pull this off.
Nice.
It could pull us off. And, from a defensive standpoint, I mean, they weren't doing, so we just, what I mean? I'm back, what I mean? I think one of my most successful parts of my time in Norway has been my team's defense. I don't think we've ever finished below number 3 in points allowed in all my years coaching here in Norway.
True.
So getting back to a little bit of that, a little bit of just that whole defending thing,
Yep.
and I tell these guys now, I say, and I've been watching y'all, and y'all was like a 40-60 team. Yeah, 40-60, what's that? Yeah, I say 40% of the time y'all played defense, 60% of the time y'all was Santa Claus. Y'all gave them gifts. Gave teams gifts.
Yeah.
You know what? So now we want to turn this. We want to be a 90-10 team. We want to be 90%. You know what? Where you got to work to get it, and 10% gifts.
Yep.
So we trying to, let's see how that goes.
You still wearing a suit for the games?
You know what? Unfortunately, I will, but not today.
Okay.
I'm kind of caught in the casual mode here today, but I won't. I'll be casual. But yeah. I think when I get back up to my first game up in Tromsø, I'll be back in the suit.
I respect the shit out of coaches that dress up with the suit.
I think
hands down, fucking cool.
Yeah, I mean it is. It definitely is, and I'm a little, and like I said, this thing has been happening so fast for me, and I actually it's funny because most of my suits are with friends here in Oslo. I didn't move them back up when I left because so now I'm gonna pick up stuff while I'm down here now this weekend and get that stuff going again. Yeah, but I'll definitely get back into it. Back into it. I think that's
still drinking Arctic water, huh?
No question.
All right, thanks for being
on. All right, thanks, Stephen. Thanks for having me, huh?
Fantastic. That was good.
Beautiful.
Yeah.